everyone, my name is Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. Today I thought it would be fun to do a tag that I feel like is several years old, and I'm not really sure who invented this, but the first video of this idea that I saw was from Emma Books. I will link her channel up in the cards above. She is probably my absolute favorite booktuber. She is also the first booktuber that I ever watched, and as you can see from the title today, I'm doing the Rip It or Ship It book tag. Essentially what I did is I wrote down the names of a ton of characters from some of my favorite and the most iconic YA series out there. So for instance, I have some characters from the Harry Potter series. I also have, let's see, the Hunger Games. I also have the Twilight Saga. I also have two series from the Shadowhunter Chronicles universe by Cassandra Clare. So that is City of Bones, this is Mortal Instruments, and then Clockwork Angel, which is from the Infernal Devices. And then to round this out, I have Throne of Glass characters. I also have Stalking Jack the Ripper characters and characters from the Diviners. I think this is going to be a really interesting video. Also, just a general note, I did not put any characters that are villains from any of these series into this jar because I know me, I know my personality. If I pick any villains out of this jar, I know I'm going to immediately want to rip that pairing. So I'm going to pick two characters out of this jar, does not matter what gender they are, and I have to decide whether I ship them, so whether I think they would work together or want them to be together, or if I would rip them, meaning that I think that they would be terrible for each other. Without further ado, let's pick our first couple. I'm gonna shake up this jar a little bit. Also, this is just a cute little jar that says Choose Joy. I cannot remember where I got this from, but it works out really well for this purpose. So let's see. I got one. Who is up first? Okay, first up we have Rowan Whitethorn, who is a major character in the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J Maas. So he is a Fae Prince. He definitely has like alpha male tendencies. He's very protective of the people that he loves, but he also has a really good sense of humor. That's what I want to say about Rowan. He's actually one of my favorite characters from this series. He is a shifter. He can shift into a hawk, I believe. So yeah, let's see who he's paired up with. Dorian Havilyard. Also from the Throne of Glass series. Okay, so Prince Dorian, he is, I don't know, he's kind of a cinnamon roll. He's definitely a softer character than Rowan is. He definitely has like a mischievous side to him, and he is also one of my favorite characters from this series. So do I think that Rowan and Dorian would work? I think I kind of ship them. I think they oddly would work well together. You know, the two of them definitely become really good friends throughout the series, so I don't see how they couldn't make it work, so I think I'm going to ship it. Okay, I hope this time I pick characters that are not from the same series, so let's try this again. Okay, we've got another Throne of Glass character. We have Lysandra. So Lysandra is a really cool character. She's also a shifter, but she can shift into pretty much any animal ever, but her preferred form is a snow leopard. At the beginning of this series, she's a courtesan, and her and Selena, who is the main character of the series, they are definitely not friends. They're definitely enemies. But later in the series, they become really great friends, and I just love Lysandra's character so much. She's definitely a badass. You know, she definitely becomes hardened over the years of being a courtesan and being taken advantage of so many people in her life. I swear, if I pick another Throne of Glass character, I might just throw this jar. I don't know. Okay, let's see. Okay, we have Will Herondale. All right, so Will Herondale is one of the three major characters in the Infernal Devices series. Will is an interesting character. He's kind of a ladies' man, I guess you could say. Him and Jace Wayland's characters are very similar. Jace is from the Mortal Instruments and Will is from the Infernal Devices. I don't know why, but it's so hard for me to describe these characters. Okay, so Will is also a really funny character. Throughout this series, though, he definitely has issues with communication, and he feels like he's not worthy of the people that love him. So as far as a match between Will and Lysandra, I think that this could actually be very interesting because I feel like Lysandra would constantly call Will out on his shit, but at the same time, I really could see the two of them getting along. And Lysandra is just such a strong character. She's such a badass that I don't think Will could resist. So you know what? I think I'm going to ship this. All right, next we have Alec Lightwood. So he is a pretty major character in the Mortal Instruments series. and Alec is gay in this series, but if I end up picking a female character, I definitely won't put them out of the running for Alec. Okay, I picked Neville Longbottom. Okay, so Alec and Neville Longbottom. Let's talk about Alec's character a bit. So Alec is very quiet. He's definitely more of like a brooding character. Definitely in the earlier books in the series, he's coming to terms with him being gay and what that means in the Shadowhunter world. And slowly throughout the series, he comes more out of his shell as his friendships become stronger and his relationship with Magnus Bane develops even further. And then we have Neville Longbottom, who is one of my favorite characters in the Harry Potter series. He's such a soft little cinnamon roll. And I love throughout the series how Neville does come into his own. Even in the first book, you know, he stands up to Ron, Harry, and Hermione about, you know, sneaking out again and losing more points for Gryffindor. And man, I just love him so much. So as far as a match between Neville and Alec, you know, to be honest, I'm not sure that their personalities would mesh all that well. I could definitely see them being friends, but as far as a romantic relationship, Alec definitely needs someone who is going to pull him out of his shell and pull him out of his broodiness, and I don't think that Neville is necessarily capable of that, and I think Neville also needs somebody who is kind of the opposite of him and can also pull him out of his shell. So I think I'm gonna have to rip this pairing, unfortunately. So the next person I have is Manon Blackbeak. Oh my god, why do I keep picking characters from Throne of Glass? Okay, I'm actually low-key excited about picking Manon because I'm really interested to see who the second person I pick is. Manon is a witch in this series. She is such a strong badass. In the beginning of her character arc, she's definitely really hardened. She really doesn't show emotions very much, and she thinks that she's incapable of love, as do I think all of the other witches in her coven. And throughout the series, her character does develop a bit and she does show more and more emotion. Okay, so let's see who I'm gonna pair her up with. I picked Ron Weasley from Harry Potter. So Ron Weasley, okay, I think I'm gonna have to rip this pairing just because I feel like Manon would chew up Ron and spit him out and just be tired of his bullshit. You know, let's be honest, in the Harry Potter series, Ron is kind of a lot to the people that he likes romantically, specifically Hermione. He can be kind of whiny and annoying, and I feel like Manon would just not put up with that bullshit, and I don't even really see her wanting to be friends with him, to be honest, so I'm definitely going to have to rip this pairing. All right, next we have Simon Lewis, who is from the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare. He's essentially a nerd. He's a really sweet guy. His character goes through a lot of changes throughout this series. He definitely becomes one of my favorite characters. I will be upfront. I hated his character in this first book. I thought he was just like annoying and whiny and just way too clingy to Clary because he had a crush on her, but I really do end up loving his character. And then the second person in this pairing, Hermione Granger, another Harry Potter character. Okay, so do I think that Simon and Hermione would get along romantically? You know, yes and no. I definitely think that they would be like BFFs. I could totally see them hanging out in the library all the time at Hogwarts because they're both nerds. Quite honest, I don't really see anything romantic forming between the two of these characters. I think that they would just be really good friends, so I think I'm gonna rip this one. Okay, next we have Finnick Odair, who is from the Hunger Games series by Suzanne Collins. He's definitely like a ladies' man. He definitely puts up a front, but he is a much more vulnerable character than you might initially think. So let's see who we pick out of the jar for Finnick. And we picked Edward Cullen, who was a main character in the Twilight Saga. So Edward is a very angsty vampire. He also tends to stalk the people that he's interested in romantically. I can't really pick out any other discernible traits about Edward. So Finnick and Edward, do I think that they would work? I don't know about this pairing. I feel like both of these characters would get sick of the other one pretty easily. I think Finnick would hate how broody and angsty Edward is, and I think Edward would hate how outgoing Finnick is, so I'm definitely going to have to rip this pairing. Okay, next up we have Magnus Bane, who is a pretty major character in the Mortal Instruments, but he's also a major character in all of the Shadowhunter Chronicles books. So he is a warlock, he is actually bisexual, and he's a very flamboyant and out there person. There's definitely a reason that him and Alec go well together. He definitely also becomes one of my favorite characters throughout this whole universe, so I'm very interested to see who he ends up being paired with. Okay, and I picked Harry Potter from the Harry Potter series. I don't know how to feel about this. You know, Harry is a very understated person, and I feel like he doesn't really go for people that are out there like Magnus is in terms of like romantic love interests when you think about it, because both Ginny and Cho Chang are definitely more understated characters. Although Ginny, especially in the book, she is definitely a strong character, but she's also quite understated in a lot of ways. I could definitely see Magnus being attracted to Harry because Harry does a little bit remind me of Alec. They have a similar look to them. They're both, you know, kind of quiet characters. As far as Harry being attracted to Magnus, you know, I think Harry would love to have Magnus as a friend, but I just don't see them working out romantically, so I think I'm going to rip this pairing as well. I feel like this game isn't going that well. Like, I feel like I'm ripping a lot of the couples that I'm picking, so let's hope for a good one. So the next character I picked is Jem Carstairs from the Infernal Devices. He's also one of my favorite characters of all of the Shadowhunter Chronicles universe. So in this series, you know, definitely a much more understated character in comparison to his best friend, who is Will Herondale. He's also not afraid to show his emotions. He's artistic, you know, he's a musician. He's just a beautiful character. I love everything about him. He's just so kind, but he can also be really strong when he needs to be. Okay, and then I picked Draco Malfoy from the Harry Potter series. Okay, I mean, my first instinct is just to straight up say no, because Jem just deserves so much better than Draco, but at the same time, maybe Jem could help Draco become a better person? I don't know, I'm feeling a little conflicted about this pairing. I want to rip this pairing, but at the same time, I kind of want them to go on a couple of dates and see if they would work out. Because like I said, I think Jem could make Malfoy a better person, but at the same time, Jem really does deserve so much better. Oh man, I think I'm gonna have to rip this. All right, next we picked Sam Lloyd, who is from the Diviners series by Lita Bray. I love his character so much. He's very outgoing and funny, but he can also be very loving when he meets the right person. So I'm very interested to see who he ends up getting paired up with. Okay, the other character I picked is Peeta Mellark from the Hunger Games. Peeta Mellark is one of the main characters in the series. He is a soft little cinnamon roll, so adorable. Do I think that him and Sam would work? Oh man, I don't know. On the one hand, I feel like they'd be great friends, but on the other hand, they are kind of opposites in personality, and I think that that could work out really interestingly as far as a romantic relationship. You know, because Sam could definitely pull Peeta out of his shell, and Peeta could also soften Sam a bit. You know what? I'm gonna ship this. I would actually be really interested to read a fan fiction about these two characters. Which I know sounds weird, but I would just be very interested to see how these two characters would work out. All right, next up we have Evie O'Neill from the Diviners. She is our main character in this series, and she is just such a fun-loving girl. I adore her character so much. She's definitely a breath of fresh air. She's outgoing, she loves partying. She is also very loving to the people around her. And she can be a little selfish at times, but her positives definitely outweigh the negatives about her character. Okay, and then I picked Cale Westfall from the Throne of Glass series. So Cale is the captain of the guard at the beginning of this series. He definitely comes off as very serious. I do think he's more serious than Prince Dorian, but at the same time, he can also have a really good sense of humor. You just have to like bring it out of him. And you know what? I am going to ship him and Evie because I think Evie would be really good for him. Evie would pull him out of his shell. I think that Kale also serves as a really good balance for Evie. I would actually really like to see the two of their characters together. I do on the one hand think that Evie might annoy Kale a little bit, but I do think that Kale would eventually get past that. And you know what? I am definitely going to ship them. You know what? I might as well just pick couples until I run out because I only have a few names left. Okay, next we have Audrey Rose Wadsworth, who is from the Stalking Jack the Ripper series. She's the main character. You know, she is kind of a nerd. She's very bookish. She's into forensic science. She's definitely a more understated character. She kind of reminds me of Tessa Gray from the Infernal Devices series. And I also picked Selena Sardathian, who is the main character of the Throne of Glass series. You know, Selena is a badass. She's an assassin. She's definitely a lot more outgoing. I think her and Audrey Rose would be an interesting pairing because they do have kind of opposite personalities. You know, we have another case of Selena could kind of bring Audrey Rose out of her shell, and I think Audrey Rose could kind of calm down Selena, but at the same time, I just don't see them romantically together. This is yet another situation where I could see them as friends, but I do not see them as a couple. So I think, unfortunately, I'm going to have to rip this pairing. Okay, unfortunately, I have 3 names left. So we're gonna see. This might be a love triangle. So we've got Thomas Cresswell, who is from the Stalking Jack the Ripper series. We have Theta Knight, who is from the Diviner series by Libba Bray. And then we have Tessa Gray, who is from the Infernal Devices series. So I could definitely see Thomas Cresswell and Tessa Gray together because Tessa, like I just said, is very similar to Audrey Rose. And as we know, Audrey Rose is the love interest for Thomas in this series. So I could definitely see them together. Now, as far as Theta Knight from the Diviners, you know what? I could actually see her with Thomas Cresswell because I think that they would have a lot of fun together, and I think that they would also kind of balance each other out because Thomas definitely has elements where he's, you know, very nerdy and can be very understated, but at the same time he also like knows how to party and can be really fun. So I think he would be a really good match for Theta. Theta is a very outgoing character. She's an actress in the Diviner series. She's also a character that isn't here for the bullshit, and so I think her and Thomas would also pair well for that because Thomas is really great at communicating. He's definitely not a bullshitter. I think that they could work well together as well. And then as far as Theta and Tessa, I don't really see them as a romantic pairing. I think that they would just be good friends. So in terms of who I would pair romantically together, you know what? I think I'm going to take Tessa out of the equation, and I think I'm going to pair Theta and Thomas Cresswell. I think that they would make a really fun pairing. Okay guys, that is going to be it for this Rip It or Ship It book tag. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would love it if you would consider pushing that like button and subscribing, and I thank you in advance if you do. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!